Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Coding at Home. I'm Matthew Lonsdale and we're here to learn how to program in the Unreal Engine. So let's get started. So today's episode is a health bar for multiplayer, and it's all replicated and all that good stuff. So let's see the final product. So we're running on a dedicated server with 3 clients. Okay, let everything load up. Like that. Let's grab him, minimize this one. So I'm in the playing as the top left, and then let's move this guy over as well. So if player 1, I'm just doing a line trace, and the line trace is running on the server, so you're not seeing it as a client. Server does it. So if I'm going to shoot, the widget's going to show up for 5 seconds unless shot again, and rotate to the client that's shot. Now notice that the other client won't see the widget unless they're shooting them as well. Okay, so let's make it. Go to server, close that down. Right, out the way. Okay, so we are going to launch the latest engine version. Let that load up. We're going game, next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run as a first, and then we'll add the third, just so we can see the player. So let's go next. Yes, include, we'll just go my project 2, doesn't matter. Okay, so what do we want first? We want to add and import content and features, third person character, add to project. We are then going to go to content. We want first person BP, blueprints. So first thing we want to do, so if you come up here and basically delete the begin play, because this is only checking for VR stuff, so we don't need that. Let's get the skeleton mesh and the mannequin and the third person anim graph. Let's go into the viewport, move him down, rotate him round, and when we're selected the mannequin, we'll just go into the search details for owner, no C, check that. Okay, back, save, drag this over here, save the current map, get rid of that because it annoys me, and the player that's already in there, get rid of him. Lovely. So what do we need variable wise? Right, well, we need a reference to health, obviously. So we're going to do a health variable. We're going to make that a float, and we're going to come to replication, and we're going to make this rep notify. Okay, and the difference between the replicate and the rep notify, if you don't know, is when you use rep notify and you set this variable, it also runs a function which is automatically generated. So you know, if you create a function and then you call that node in a line of script, it'll run whatever's in that function and then continue along the line of script. Well, that's essentially all a rep notify variable does, and it's replicated. So on begin play, we'll give ourselves 100 health, and we also want our widget to be set to non-visible by default, I would say. So let's make the widget. So w underscore health bar, And we're just going to keep this simple, very basic. Delete your canvas panel, go Pro, get a progress bar, drag that in, save it out, done. Close that. It's all you need in the widget. So in the first person character, if you come back in here, add a component, go widget, okay, and now click widget in the details panel, user interface, widget class. Drop down, select the class, the widget we've just created. Okay, let's go into the viewport. So now we can see it. We'll use the draw size, and we'll set this to 150, something like that, and 20, yeah. And we'll move that above the player's head. Yeah, something like that. Okay, save. Now we're in the event graph. Now we've got this widget. But what I want to do is I want to rename this, just so it's, because if everything's called widget and health bar, it can get confusing. See, this widget isn't the widget. This is the component that holds the widget. The widget class is the widget. Okay? So if we just go COM for, that's the component widget reference. Okay? And from this, you can get widget. Okay? And this is your widget, but it's a widget reference, so you won't be able to pull off of here and get your progress bar. It isn't going to be there. From here you would have to cast to widget health bar, and now you've got your, you know, you get progress bar, and you can do whatever you want in there. But all we want to do in the begin play is drag off of the component, set visibility to false, which is by default. Okay. Now, if we double click, can you double click? Yeah, double click on your rep notify health, or you can double click it in here. When we set health, we want to alter the widget. So we want the widgets, the progress bar, to be a percentage of the health for visual. So where are we going here? So what we're going to do is we're going to get the health, okay, and the widget. So get widget, cast to the widget health bar. Off of here, get progress bar, and off of here you want to set the percent. Now this percent is from 0 to 1. Okay, so yeah, 10 minutes in. This percent is from 0 to 1. So whatever your health is, you need to divide it by 100. Okay. So it's not because it's 100 or anything like it would be 1,000. So it just divides it into 1%, so 0.1s. All right. So that's simple. Float divided by float, and 100. So if you lose 20, if you damage 20 out of 100, you'll be left with 80 health, and this would show 80%. Okay. And that's all we need to do in here. Compile and save, and that is the begin play done. So what we're going to do down here now, instead of this input action fire, we don't want to use the bullet just yet. If you want more in this series, then we'll do it, but at the minute we're just going to use a line trace. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do it properly. So it's not going to run on the client. It's going to run on the server where it should be running. Okay, so we're going to create a function. This is going to be line trace. And in this function, we will do line trace by channel. Now by default, it's the trace channel is set to visibility, and by default of a capsule component, it ignores visibility. So you've got two options: you either change it in the settings so it doesn't ignore visibility, or you change the trace channel to camera, which it does block. Okay, so this line trace is going to be run on the server, so you can't just be going get actor from this location. You need the actor to come into the function because it's going to be pulled from the run on server event. Okay, so if we go get actor location and then we drag in to that's the input of the function, and I'm sure you've all seen a line trace before, but we're going to do that very quickly. Get forward vector, times that by a float. This is the range of the line trace. Let's just do 1000, and then we will add the vectors together. And that's for line trace, okay, which is just get the forward vector of the actor, which is the way the x-axis is pointing. That's the forward vector, and then we're multiplying that by a length of our choosing, which we've chosen 1000, and we're adding the 2 points together to find the end point of the line trace. Okay, so we'll run that for duration because we'll show you that working in a second. So on hit, we want to break, and we want to know if it's blocking. So this is, did we hit anything? Okay, now if we did, or we'll come off first of false. So this will be, I want a print string, and it's going to say hit nothing, and then return. And we're going to add a boolean, be success, and then we'll leave that as false. Okay, then we want another return, and we'll cast to first person character is the one we're using, and we are going to fail again if it isn't the first person character. However, if it is the first person character, we want to return successful, and we'll pump that reference out the function as well. So if we compile and go back to the event graph, so we will run the line trace on fire or input action fire. Okay, the target is going to be self, because we are the target that's calling the line trace for now anyway. And on success, we'll do nothing for just yet. Let's just play standalone players. We'll go play, and then you can just see visually what's happening here. So I'm clicking, it's hitting nothing. That time we've hit a box, we've hit a wall, but you can see the line trace is running, and this is running on a client. Okay, but that's what's happening in the background, because we're going to run this on the server and you won't see it on the client. Whether you have it on for duration or show persistent, okay, you'll not see it. So let's exit out of play. So to run that on the server, we're going to have a custom event, and I'm going to prefix that with SR underscore. So this is going to be server fire. Okay, we're going to come over to replicate. We're going to run this on the server, reliable, because it's a gunshot. You want it to be, you know, recognized in priority. And now if we key that up and pump the self into there, and now on click fire, we call SR. Now the SR is really helpful because it takes takes everything out your list apart from all your custom events prefixed with SR. Okay, so that's handy to know. Now this is fired on the client that is controlling. This client is calling the server to do something, and this is the reference to the client that's fired. Because once the server, if you was to run that like that, the server doesn't know who self is. Does that make sense? So you have to run self from the client that has called the function. Okay, so the server is now going to run that line trace. Now if we click play, we're still going to see it, because the default settings of the engine is set up this way. So for you to see things visually and properly, we're going to exit out of there. I want you to come here and I want you to go advanced settings. Come down to multiplayer options. You want to check the launch separate server, and you want to uncheck run under one process, and you can read the tooltip here. It spawns multiple windows in a single instance of UE4. This will load much faster but has potential for more issues. We don't want that. We don't want issues. We want it to run the way we want it to run, and this is the way it'd be running in the real world. So with them closed, and now if we click play, what you're going to see is a server, or a dedicated server, run, and that's exactly what a dedicated server looks like. And it's you don't see anything visually, but this is running a log. So this is just the information printed into strings. Okay, so now with this server running, bit awkward now, can't really see, can we? So let's play it like that. So you can see, okay, shouldn't be, oh, my apologies. Play, let's run that back up here, and we want to change from net mode to a client. Okay, now we jump back in, sorry for that. Okay, so now the server's running. Let that boot up, and now you're playing as a client. And now I'm clicking. You're not seeing the line trace, but you can see in the, just where we're looking, just here, the print strings do nothing, do nothing. It's hit nothing. Okay, because the line trace is running. So if I hit a wall, nothing's happening. If I hit air, you can see just above us here the print strings. Okay, so that's how it should be set up properly. I'm going to, do you want a bit more? We'll do a bit more before we'll call it at half an hour, and then we'll go into part 2. So line trace. Now if this was successful, I should be able to get this in 10 minutes if I speed it up. If this is successful, what do we want to do? So we've got a reference to the player that it's hit, and what do we want to do to him? Well, we want to get his health. Okay, and we want to set his health to minus, let's just do 10, which is true. Okay, so we want to set that. So now we've got some sort of damage to see the progress bar move down. Now, for the client to see the health bar pop up, you need to now do a custom event, and you want to prefix this with client underscore show HUD to player. And you want to come over to replicate, and you want to run this on the owning client. Okay, it shouldn't really be reliable, this, but you can tick it if you want. So what's going on here? Well, let's see. So if I now call client show player HUD, and this you see target is first person character replicated to owning client if server. So if you're running a server event and you then want a sole client to then take over that script and run something else. So this is, you can now get information from the server and send it to a client. That's what these nodes are for. So if I want this client to know about the player that the line trace hit on the server, this is how I would send it. So I could create a variable. Well, not necessarily a variable, sorry. We'll do it as an input. So input parameter, and then you want first person, that one, isn't it? First person character, and this is player. So now with this reference, let's connect this up before I forget and can't work out what's broken. Okay, so everyone connect that up now. Okay, so this is run on the server, the line trace has hit a player, and now it's feeding it to the client. Okay, so with this player client, because this isn't self, this is the client that the server's hit. So if we now get the com underscore widget, this one, not get the mask. So now if we get the con widget, we're getting the widget of the player that was hit. So then we can say set visibility to true. Okay, so now let's run that quickly in a test. Actual players, aren't we? So let's just add 2 players for now. Don't need the server. Obviously this takes a lot longer to test, but this is how you do it properly. Server's loaded in, just tab out there. So if we, now that's lagging because I'm not thinking, but it isn't actually lagging. So if I shoot this player, his health bar is going to show up. So as you can see, the player that is controlling, his health bar hasn't shown up, and it isn't showing up on the other screen, whichever side that's at, and the health is going down. Now you can further test that. If I can get out of this, what do I want to do? I want to come to here and close the server. Let's add a 3rd player. 4, no, 3 will do. Move the server out the way, let that load up. Okay, let's just move these screens around so we can all see. So if I place this character and I'll play as this character, who's obviously already been shot a little bit. You can see that on the top left hand screen above me, he has shot this player that's moving now, which is the bottom player. Nightmare with only a few screens. Now you can see this player, if you look in the top left above me, you can see that this player can't see the widget from the player to my whatever side left. Okay, only this client can see that because he's the one doing the damage. So if the other player was on the other side of the map, he doesn't need to know about this guy's health because he isn't having a fight with it, or a gunfight or whatever. So that's how you would do that properly. What you could do is set up something. You could do a sphere collision for 20,000 units, so anyone in this area can see the health bar. So very quickly, see if we can't get the server. We'll close the server down. And what we now want to do is go on to the event tick, and in this event tick we want to get the widget. We want to set rotation, set world rotation, and we're only going to need to change the Z axis to, well, we'll need to get actor. We'll need two of these, and then look at direction, look at rotation, and it's, let me just double check which way around these go, because I always forget stuff. 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. So it's, yes, of course, it's from the target. So we have got from the target, which we will need a variable of. So we'll need a variable of type first person character, and this is of type player, or variable name player, which we will need. Now this variable, because it's coming from the server, it has to be a replicated variable, not a rep notify, because it's just information. But if it goes through a server from client to a client, or to the server, on it, just to the server, it needs to be replicated. Okay, do that straight away, because you'll forget and you'll be like, oh, it isn't working, and it'll be something silly like that. So get that done. This is our self. So there's no variable here, because this event tick is going to run on the client that we tell it to. Okay, so all we want to do here is add another variable, and this is just for the client, just for the player, and just go b show health bar, and that is of type boolean. So we can drag that off. We can go if this is true, because you don't want to be running a tick if you don't have to. So if this is true, give it some space, and then another check, is that valid? Then I want you to set, and you don't want to set your own, sorry, there's no point setting your own thing to rotate. You need the player that you hit. You want his health bar. So come off of here and get com underscore widget. Right, well that one will do, because it'll pull the right reference. So you want this widget to be rotating to you. Okay? So this player, we now need to set this variable. So if we come to the client, which has got the information from the server, This is the information. We can now promote that, or sorry, set that on this client, set the variable from the server, because this is the information, and then set. So we're going to, you could probably pull off there like that and make that nice and tidy. So, and then you can hotkey Q to straighten everything up. So set the variable, set its visibility, and then on the tick you also have got to check for so I would do that first, and then I would set show health bar to true. Now that's obviously this client's health bar, and then this always runs, so you don't need to call the tick. Okay, so if everything's right, we go play. Give everything a second to load up. What time are we at? 32. Okay, it's getting a little bit long, but we're pretty much done now. So this player, if he now shoots, sorry, move that out of the way. If he now shoots the line trace, I haven't connected up the Z-axis, have I? I bet you're all screaming at the fucking... Sorry. Where is it? Yeah, I know. I bet you're all screaming at us. Right, connect your Z-axis up. And then we've got to wait again for this fucking thing. Okay, come on. Move out of the way. So, I've already shot at him, so that's why it's so now his health bar is rotating. And if you move stuff around here, you can see that he can't see the health bars, and they're not rotating to him because they're not relevant to him in his game. But this guy has shot him, so he needs to know about his health. And now, say for example, his health's down to 40%, and this player decides to shoot him, the health is replicated as well. So he knows he's at that percentage. Okay. Now, if you give me another 30 seconds, I will show you how to make the health bar go away very quickly. So on the client, show the HUD, set to visibility, set that. If you just pull off of here and go timeline, right, the default time for a timeline is 5 seconds here. Okay, what you want to do is, if you go from play from start and then on finished, just set that to false. Okay, so if, and the reason I'm using a timeline and play from start rather than a 5 second delay, because if you shoot someone and then 4 seconds later shoot them again, with a timeline, the time will restart. If you use a delay, the delay won't restart. It'll then just set that to false. So you use a timeline for your 5 second delay, and then if you get shot again, it'll restart it because it's connected to play from start. Not from play from start, and then that'll reset that. So after you've shot someone, after 5 seconds, you can then the health bar will go back to being well, you want to set it, obviously, don't you? You'll want to call that again. So grab this. You could either put this, don't set it, get it. Set that to false. You could put that there. You couldn't put it anywhere else, because once you leave this line of script, it will lose that reference. So you can't now have a custom event down here and then get this. It won't be valid, because it's going, well, hang on, yeah, 5 seconds ago I knew what it was, but I don't know what it is anymore, and that's just the way it is. So you'd have to then go to the server, get that reference. Now, if nothing has changed, if you, in theory, if you set that variable on the server, and then if nothing changes, you could call a server event, get the reference, and then call a client, and it would, if nothing's changed, it would get you the right client. But obviously that's not what you want to do. You don't really want to be setting variables like that in a server. All right, you'd want to, if you wanted to store information about client, then that's when you need to use the game mode, and or the player controller, or the owner of such actor, or this. But I mean, this vast, massive thing you know you could do in this game. So, but there you go. If you want more multiplayer replication, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want something specific, and do let us know if I'm going too fast or too slow, if it's too informational or not enough information, and all that sort of stuff. If you want projects, probably not this one, it's too small, but I've got other projects on my Patreon where with the actual source code you can have a look at that and really break down what's what. Alright, but enjoy your day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.